alguna duda o queremos que aclaremos algo en otro idioma, me pueden decir y con mucho gusto les ayudamos con eso. So we have a lot of questions prepared for you guys. I hope you're ready because we definitely want to know about your roles in Hercules, both of you, in, of course, Hulk, of course, your other works, for example, in the OC. So there's a lot that we need to know from you guys. And how about we start since you actually have portrayed Hercules in different decades. You were on the 80s while you were on the 90s. Can you
because I had to be in my peak physical condition. I had to maintain that condition for 3 months. But I had the chance to film through all the rooms in Rome. It was wonderful because back then I didn't have a gym on the set. So I got an Olympic barbell set and 2 dumbbells in the bench. I used that on location to stay in the shape. But it was a beautiful experience, the fact that being in Italy filming and learning about the culture, everything, because it was my first acting role after I did the whole TV series, because I wanted to show on the screen. You see, whenever you make a movie, anything to do with physicality is primitive. You, as an actor, you can't go back and change it. But that's why I wanted to be in my peak condition for it, also at the same time, you know, with the acting. And then especially I had a friend of mine in the film, because originally, back in the early 60s, you had Steve Reed. He was the original Hercules. So when I was a kid, my father had the newspaper. He opened the newspaper and I saw this guy standing there, Hercules, pulling down the 2 chains. I said, that's it. That's what I want to be like. But I went to the movies, I'll never forget when I saw on the screen, I said, that's what I want to be, the real masculine kind of a person. So it's funny that a dream of mine came true. I ended up playing Hercules. And this guy here taking over, he's better looking Hercules, so.
You know, the first audition for Hercules, I thought they wanted some big dude like him. And they said they were doing something different. They wanted a guy that more like an Olympic decathlete athlete. That's what they were looking for. They went a whole different way. I had 7 auditions over 2 months. They auditioned 2,800 actors for the role of Hercules all over North America. And I got down the last 3 guys for it. And I gotta say, when I got to the studio, Universal Studios, to do the final reading for the role, Sam Raimi was the executive producer, and you guys know Sam from the first 2 Spider-Mans and Evil Dead with all those guys. So I got up there and I read, and then they asked me if I would take my shirt off. I was in good shape. If you remember, I was in pretty good shape back then. And so they asked me they said, if you get the role, would you be willing to shave your chest and your stomach? I'm not like hairy, but I got a man cover there. And I looked at him and I said, oh, I'm sorry, I thought you wanted a man for this role. And I started to walk out to stage. But I went up to Vancouver the next day to shoot an episode to guest star on a series called The Commish. I don't know if you ever got that series down there. With Michael Chiklis, who went up to play the Thing in Fantastic Four. And they called me 3 days later and told me I got the part for Hercules. So I went on the set and I told Michael, I said, I don't want any crap from you. I'm half God now.
There has been, you both has done the part of Hercules, but there have been other Hercules adaptations from many other actors. Which ones do you think are your favorite interpretations of Hercules?
I gotta stick with Steve Reeves. And I got a letter from Steve Reeves as well, saying it's on my wall. It's next to Anthony Quinn and Paul Newman's letters to me. So, but what's interesting is you never know who's watching the show. I remember one year I went to the Academy Awards, right in the middle of the Hercules years. And Brad Pitt was a friend of mine. We had the same acting class for a few years together. And I had my managers with me, and I saw Tom Hanks across the room, and I said, David, do you know Tom Hanks? I want to meet Tom Hanks. Before I knew it, he tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around, it was Tom Hanks. And he says, Kevin, I'm Tom Hanks. I love your Hercules TV series. So you never know who's watching.
It's funny you say that because when I was training for Hercules, I did the film and came back and a young kid came over to me. And he said, excuse me, he said, I'm in a movie called Tap. He said, my name is Tom Cruise. Yes.
Wow.
Tom Cruise.
It was Tom Cruise's first couple lines in a movie.
I was standing with the man of the gym. Tom came up to me. He was like a kid. He had space between his teeth and everything. He said, I just want to shake your hand. But I couldn't believe it, you know. Especially, who would know then, like you said?
He was maybe 20, 21 years old then.
Younger, probably.
back then there wasn't really like a culture to have like a personal trainer get you fit like for the roles. I mean, you told me that you had to do everything at home with the dumbbells and basically training yourself. Did that happen as well to you?
I was always working out. I mean, I played football in college, and so I was always working out. What they did when I got the role, I did go to work with this guy named Douglas Wong. Douglas Wong was one of Bruce Lee's original students, so I did a lot of training with him, with weapons and falling and all this other different kind of stuff. I put on about maybe 10 more pounds of muscle. I got to my college, we had 230 pounds, and but nothing really changed. New Zealand was. My stunt guys were amazing, and Ben Cook actually was a 19-year-old stunt guy, so for 7 years he was a stunt. He went on to become Daniel Craig's body double and stunt double in all the James Bond movies, and he won Stuntman of the Year twice. But I had guys that, my busy schedule, and I'd be up at 4:30 and I would get home maybe around 10:30 at night, so it was a long days. I was 16 to 18 hours a day, every day on the road, then I would have studied my lines. I go to bed. I have no recollection of dreaming because the minute my head hit the pillow, the alarm would go off.
Yeah.
So 4.5 hours tops is all I got, and it was exhausting, but it was still fun. I had a blast doing it. I'm not complaining.
I bet the adventures and basically the movies that we got to see you guys portray Hercules, they were amazing.
Well, you know what? Most of my crew, I mean, I shot in New Zealand for 7 years, and Peter Jackson used to come on the set while he was writing the Lord of the Rings trilogy to see how the crew's developing. He took almost my entire crew when we finished, and many of them went on to win Academy Awards. So, it was, you know, we trained them for all of your
We thank you for that.
It was a great training because at the end those movies were amazing, and I actually believe that you guys are an inspiration for a lot of other actors out there that are portraying like strong, brave men like the guys you were able to. I'm talking about strong, brave men. We're actually getting a new Hercules adaptation from Disney that is based more on the animated series, but I would love to know, like, who would you love to see portray the new Hercules? We don't have a name yet, we know who's going to be the new actor. Is there anyone you think that could follow your legacy?
My son Braden, who's at the table. He's 6'5" and about 220 now. And
I think he'd be a better Superman.
Yeah. You did say that, that's true.
Well, I hope Hollywood hears you out and they cast you, because definitely would be great to see father and son portraying the same character. Would be interesting, to say the least.
I'll play Zeus.
Yes!
There you go.
That's it.
But good Zeus or bad Zeus? Because there's both. Good Zeus or bad Zeus? Because there is both in mythology.
You know, I want to be. There's enough bad in the world. I want to play the good Zeus.
Yes.
You know, there's too much hatred and anger in the world right now. And I think we need to get back to having a little more love and compassion and forgiveness.
Yeah, just showing thunders to the bad guys from out there. So, we also want to know a little bit more about your experience with Hercules. Basically, what similarities do you think you share with the character? Aside, of course, with the bodies, but what else do you think, like, from your traits, your personality traits, how do you feel like connected or similar to Hercules?
Well, it has a lot to do with the Greek.
Definitely. And I think it's something that reflects on the screen. How about you, Kevin?
I mean, I think for me, what I brought to the character was, I think, to have humor in the series. I told Sam Raimi, this is a TV series that could be made fun of. I said, we have to make sure that people laugh with us and not laugh at us. And so, I'm one of 4 boys in my family. We're all very sarcastic to each other. So, I think to me, it was just to have that humor in the show. And Michael Hurst, who played Aeolus, we played off each other quite well. And if there was lines that they gave me, the writers, it didn't make sense for me to make more sense for him, we would always switch those things around to do really stay true to the characters that we're playing. But to me, I think the biggest blessing I had was work with an amazing crew. We laughed. I wish they taped behind the scenes of every episode, that you could see what happened behind the scenes for 1 hour, and then show what came out of that. Because behind the scenes, I'll tell you, we had a lot of laughs every day. It was great.
Hey Kevin, don't mad me for saying that, but I know you talked about this, especially when you tell the audience when you were filming what happened to you with your shoulder and everything, how you were able to survive that. But I know you talk about a lot of, especially that.
I got a book out there called True Strength. It's my journey from Hercules to immortal, and I'm nearly dying to save my life. I had an aneurysm I didn't know about in my neck that had been setting blood clots in my arm for a long time, but I was getting beat up. I was doing my own stunts because my ego said that I could, and I really enjoyed it. But what happened is that thing ended up being an aneurysm. It exploded in my body and sent hundreds of clots around, but I suffered a series of strokes. And it took me about 3 years to fully recover from it. So, you know, I mean, something that could have killed me, something that put me in a wheelchair the rest of my life. I'm very blessed not to have that happen. But it definitely put me on a different path in the type of movies I want to do. I don't know, I know a lot of people mention God's Not Dead. I think people saw that movie here.
I give them a big hand for this. This is amazing.
Check, I mean, there's other movies. Please go to sorbostudios.com. Sorbostudios.com. A lot of people don't realize I've shot over 80 movies since my Hercules and Andromeda years, so I've done a lot of movies out there. There's a dozen I wish I didn't do. They're pretty sucky, but I didn't know. I didn't know they were going to be bad. But there's a lot of good ones out there, and I have 4 new ones that are coming out later in the year, so I'm staying very busy, yeah.
Anything you can tell us about that project? Well, those projects?
Well, one just came out in theaters called Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist. I directed, it was in theaters. I don't know if, I hope it makes it down here eventually. I know it's streaming right now.
Is it like a scary movie?
No, it's based on the Left Behind books. It deals with the rapture. It's pretty interesting. These books sold like 80 million copies. I directed another movie called Miracle in East Texas. It's a true story of the largest oil find in the history of the world back in 1930, right in the heart of the Depression in America. And then I finished the Reagan movie with Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid plays President Reagan, I play his pastor. Dennis and I did a movie together, I don't know if you guys saw it, called Soul Surfer, based on life of Bethany Hamilton. And we shot that in Hawaii, and that one came out a few years back.
Yeah, so a lot of things coming up for you that actually sounds amazing. We can't wait to actually see those movies. What about you? Do you have any projects coming up?
Well, I was on TV last year, Paramount Plus. I played the making of the offer. I played this hitman named Lucy Brassi. You know, I've done a lot of different films. But recently I'm about to finish this horror film I'm working on. It's called The Ferrigno. And I play a cannibalistic pig farmer that I make beef jerkies out of people.
Okay, that's interesting. I think it's like a different role for you, right?
More like a Hannibal Lecter, like a Frankenstein character. But you know what's funny? What I wanted to add before, when I was young as a kid, you know, I didn't have a convention like this. I used to read a lot of comic books because I had to overcome adversity in my life because I had a severe speech impediment and a profound hearing loss. So to overcome that, I discovered comic books. I used to read comic books to escape the pain, my imagination. That's why this led me to become the superhero, because one of us, nobody's here is perfect. We have that passion inside of us, and we need to maximize to be the best we can be. So I was able to use that as a vehicle for myself, because everybody has different limitations, but you maximize your personal power. That made me who I am today. That's why a lot of actors, for example, they play characters that you can't be in real life. They have the chance to escape to do that. It's a wonderful craft. But in life itself, I just want to say the fact that I'm glad I have this comic book. I'm glad that people try to discourage me for reading comic books, multiple, working out with weight. But it was my passion. That's why I kept saying to myself, it gives me such a wonderful sense of being. And it's funny how it's my journey when I am today.
It's one of the most inspiring things I've heard in a while. So thank you for those words. I love them. So how did it feel to actually become the heroes you read about? Those that actually help you, like come of this, come out of this dark place. How did it feel to be one of those heroes with the Hulk, with Hercules?
Well, it's funny, we really started with the Hulk because at the time Spider-Man and Captain America failed at the TV series. So I was training for the Miss Olympia competition. So when I did the pilot, I was very nervous because I was hoping that I would go for one season. But the thing about the Hulk is the fact that I never acted before. I show what you call pantomime. That means acting without speaking, shows the emotions with the makeup. So for me, that was my big platform as an actor. But it's beautiful because the fact that my whole life I was the Hulk, I had a lot of anger in me, so I was able to portray that. And especially the makeup, all that stuff. So it was a beautiful experience for me.
You were able to put a little bit of yourself in the character, basically.
Yes, very much, because anybody that plays a character, of course, is part of you, what you gather from life.
And then just go like, rah!
You wonder why I was so pissed with all the green makeup.
And talking about the speech impediment. That's actually something that I dealt with as a kid as well. So, is there anything, any words you would like to give to someone that is actually looking for a career that requires for you to use your voice that might have one? Any tips? Any other inspiring words?
For inspiring words
for someone that might have like a speech impediment that's looking at a career in maybe I don't know, like talking on TV or being an actor.
The thing is, in the early 50s, when I received my first hearing aid when I was 4 years old, I was born like a freak. People would call me deaf Louie, deaf mute. But the thing is that to me, to overcome this speech impediment, sometimes I put marbles in my mouth to learn how to say each word carefully. You see, anybody that has a speech impediment can improve it, but you have to work at it for yourself. People have a hearing loss. Like for example, in 2 years, I received a cochlear implant and help my speech even more because there's so much technology today to help yourself. But the most important thing is do not feel sorry for yourself. Once you compete with other people, you lose. You have to learn to compete with yourself. That's the thing I've learned for myself. That's the best advice I can give to anybody else.
Thank you so much for that. Definitely we don't want to keep you out of the conversation, Gavin. So let me know, what has been your most challenging job?
I did a movie. It's the first time I ever did a movie. I told my mom she can't see it. It was called Julia X, and I played a serial killer in it. And it won the Austin Film Festival. It was kind of fun, I gotta say. There's a lot of humor in it. It's not really a slasher, bloody thing, but it was a creepy role to play. And it was completely different of what I've ever done before. And the director sent it to me. He said, I don't know if you want to step out of that zone that you're in, but you can read the script. And I read it, and I was like, I need to play this part. And it was pretty cool.
Do you like playing bad guys or good guys most?
It depends on the role, but I still like playing good guys, like I said earlier. I think, I played Captain Dylan Hunt for 5 years on Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda. It was the first show Gene Roddenberry created after Star Trek, so to be the first captain after Captain Kirk was really an honor. And I've gotten to know Shatner pretty well since then, and Captain Picard as well. I'm not sure I'm not gotten to know. Now they're both about this tall on me.
Oh, you're really tall.
So I've been in autograph shows with them. I looked at both of them. I said, not only can I kick your butts, but my ship is better than both your ships. So it was just kind of cool. But to get to know Shatner, I watched all the reruns through the 70s and 80s. And to get to know Bill, he knows Bill very well as well. And you go to his house and watch Monday Night Football or go to dinner with the guy to get to know him. It's been so cool for me. So,
93.
Oh yeah, he's so funny. He's got such a great, and the energy he still has at 92 or whatever he is right now. It's pretty amazing.
Let me just say, I love your sassy attitude. Like, I love all the stories that you're telling and how you make this type of remarks. It makes my day.
And I know we're thinking, or we were talking about doing good guys. You were this close to be Superman, right? And also to be in X-Files as well.
I got down to the last two guys on Lois and Clark to play Superman. It was between Dean Cain and myself. We met and we did a screen test with Terry Hatcher at old Lorimar Studios at Warner Brothers. Lorimar doesn't exist anymore. And they called me that night and said I got the role. 24 hours later, they said, no, we changed our mind, we're going Dean Cain.
Oh my God.
That's the highs and lows of the industry, folks. I'll tell you right now, I was devastated. But 3 months later, I got Hercules, and Dean's a dear friend of mine. In fact, we're going to shoot a movie later this year together. I tell Dean, I said, you know what? My show in 7 years became the #1 show, most watched show in the world. Your show got canceled after 3 seasons. So I'm
Burn!
Definitely. And there's a question that a personal friend had me ask you. They want to know how it was working with Lucy Lawless, who played Sheena.
It's interesting how she got the part. Because she appeared as about 4 different characters. What's going on? Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I'll pay you later. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
If you want,
Thank you. You too.
Pleasure. All right. I gotta answer the question.
Gracias. Sí, chicos, por favor tratemos de no subirnos al escenario. Este es un espacio con los artistas y hay que respetar también que ellos tienen sus meet and greets y espacios para poder convivir con ustedes. Entonces, por favor, nada más respeten, no pasarse de esta parte por acá. So yeah.
To answer that, there was a different woman that was cast as Xena. And Lucy had done about 4 episodes during the first 3 seasons of Hercules. And the woman that got the role got ill. She couldn't come out. She got hospitalized.
Oh, really?
And it was only 2 weeks away from us starting the film. The 3-show episode of Hercules introduced the character. And they freaked out and panicked. So talk about being in the right place at the right time. Because she was not cast for that role. And so they panicked, they threw her into the series. At the time it wasn't picked up yet. It was just to be an introduction on my show. And she got the part, we did the 3-show art, Universal Studios liked her enough, and that's how that series even happened. Because otherwise it would have been somebody else playing that role.
And she's perfect for the role.
Well, it ended up working out great. It ended up working out great, there's no question.
I couldn't imagine anyone else actually basically portraying her, so it's really interesting. Thank you for the story.
Yeah, how things work, it's interesting.
And they were talking about the actresses. At the end, you worked with Terry Hatcher, at the end with Supergirl as well. So it was fun. Everything went full circle.
I did a 3-show art with Terry Hatcher on Supergirl.
So how was that experience? Because at the end, you worked with
we knew each other before, so it wasn't like something was strange for us. But we had a good time, and it was fun for me because I shot my series Andromeda up in Vancouver. And Supergirl had about 10 people from my crew on that show, so it was kind of fun. And I did an episode of Psych as well. I don't know if we got Psych down here, but it was good fun to meet a lot of my crew from that one too.
Nice, that's very nice for you. Also, what advice can you give to someone who wants to pursue an acting career? Someone that says, maybe I can do this, maybe I can. So.
Could you repeat that, please? I'm not good with the accent.
What advice do you want to give people that want to pursue acting?
Okay, the best advice that I can give to get involved in acting, there's no 15 minutes of fame. The best thing is to take an acting class to learn about the character. Acting is about a life, experienced life, and especially if you take some acting lessons, especially if you have an interest in different characters. When you take classes, you learn to create your own frame of yourself and get closer to different characters like comedy, drama, stuff like that. But you really have to be interested because as an actor, if you're not interested in the character, it's not going to work. And you have to have an interest in that. If you're going to go into acting just for fame, you get a 15-minute fame, you're wasting your time. But you have to really learn the craft of acting. It takes time, it takes years. But you have to really enjoy understanding the fundamental about the character, where it comes from, about the script, reading the script, understand how to memorize the line and convey to the audience. So basically, that's the best lesson, just have patience because it takes time.
I think no matter what profession you're in or what dream you have, there's always going to be rejection, there's always going to be failure. Don't be afraid of failure. Failure's a positive thing. I used to caddy at this, I didn't grow up with any money. I'm one of 5 kids, my dad was a school teacher, but he taught us all hard work. And I used to caddy at this very wealthy country club. They're all very wealthy people. I asked them, how did you become successful? Every single one said, I failed. And then I failed again. Oh, by the way, I failed a lot more times after that. Failure is a positive thing. No is a positive word. You have to, don't let anyone set your limitations, especially yourself. A lot of people let fear control their lives. And right now, as you know, governments around the world, and COVID is a perfect example of that, they want to control your life. Do not let fear control your life.
We have to do news. Recently, Hollywood has accepted diversity. Me, for example, like to see over the years, a lot of times you have actors playing hard of hearing people, actors playing people that are paraplegic, crippled, but now they have to use these people that have a handicap to portray these characters. That means there's a lot of more open doors compared to, like Kevin mentioned, it is a business rejection, but you have to handle that rejection knowing that people, everybody fails. You learn from your failure. But the good news is that Hollywood now has accepted diversity because it should be that way. Especially years ago, remember the 40s and 50s, you see all these white actors playing Indian? You can see they have the dark makeup and the ponytail, but instead of using the real Indian, but now we have a mixed culture, knowing that everybody can act, and especially that there's room for everyone.
You're going to get a lot of people saying, he's never going to make it. It's easy to say you're never going to make it. You just have to believe yourself. I'm going to tell really quick, I had an acting class where Kevin Costner came in to speak to the class because he used to study there. At the time he was filming a movie called My Bodyguard with Whitney Houston. So he came to speak to the class and he said, first thing he said, he goes, I'm not here to like break your hearts, but none of you are going to have success in this business. And I knew what he meant. Well, flash forward a couple years later, I get Hercules. Flash forward a couple years later, he invites me to a celebrity golf tournament. I'm at his celebrity golf tournament. He walks out there and he says, well, actually, I'm going to go back a little bit. I walked up to Kevin after that class and I said, Mr. Costner, I know exactly what you're saying, but you're wrong. I'm going to make it. I'm going to have success. So I get invited to this golf tournament. I go to the golf tournament. He says, hey, good to see you. Thanks for showing up at the tournament. I said, Kevin, you and I met at Richard Brander's acting class. And he looks at me and goes, wait, you're the guy. He came up to me. I said, that's me. He said, welcome to the club.